Alright guys, we are going to unveil the new top handle saw I just got today. Now, I've been doing tree work since I was a little boy. We used to go cut firewood and started a tree service over 20 years ago, and I worked for a couple other tree services before I started mine. So I got introduced to the Stihl 200T, and once I started using that saw, I fell in love with it, and I just really thought it was one of the best saws. And when I started climbing, I ended up buying every single one I could find. When they stopped making them, I used to go to the saw shop and tell anybody, if anybody has a 200T, I don't care what condition, I'll buy it. And I ended up getting, I think at one time I had probably 7 or 8, almost 10 of them. I had 6 or 7 running and 3 or 4 part saws. And then they came out with the 201, and I bought it, didn't like it, and kind of just started using the 193s and 194Ts. And what I did was, since I couldn't find any of the 200 Ts, 201s that I liked, I started putting these bars on the 194 and 193 Ts, and it's a 16-inch bar, but it's a smaller pitch, so 3/8. And I got the chain here too, so it's a 16-inch bar and chain, and 3/8 pitch. This is the micro chain, micro bar. And I started putting these on all the top handle saws and all of the pole saws. So basically I eliminated all the different bars and chains. So basically all I have is this 16-inch bar and chain on every single one of my top handles, every single one of my pole saws. And I have 2 different kinds of pole saws. I have the Stihl extended pole saw, and then I have the 6-footer. So I only use two pole saws, but I have multiples of each, and I only use one top handle, the 194 193T. But I used Phil's saw about a month ago, and I really liked it, and I think they were able to basically come up with a good version of the 201. So I went ahead and splurged, and I bought a new saw today, actually 3 new saws, the 201 TC. The only thing I'm going to change is the blade. Let's see. It comes with the 3/8 050 1.3 millimeter, and actually it's a 16-inch bar. So once this bar wears out, I'm gonna use this one if it'll fit, because what'll happen when you change out the bar and chain, the 193 cuts almost as good as this 201T. So can you imagine what's going to happen when I change out this 201 to the thinner bar and chain? It's going to speed up the chain speed. It's going to be able to cut through more wood at a faster pace. So we will do that soon. And let's go ahead and take this thing apart and see see what's going on in here. This saw is $700. The 193, 194, they're only like 300 and something. Like, so it's almost double the price to buy one of these saws. So you really have to use the saw a lot, and you have to really like the saw, and you have to. This is a saw that basically only you should use. The person buying this saw, the person responsible for this saw, this is the only person that should use this saw, because it's expensive, and it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be you know, handled in such a way that I think only the climber or the person in the bucket truck. This should not be a ground saw. Unless you're buying it and you're going to use it yourself, because I just can't see buying a bunch of these and then just letting everybody and their brother use them, unless you just got money to burn. They are awesome saws. I mean, they speed up productivity, but it's hard to get the chain off. This is such a tight little spot here. To get the chain out of here. It's almost like, okay, I got it off. So we got the 16-inch. Let's go ahead and see if we can put this new bar and chain on it. Now normally I've seen a lot of these other saws only come with 14-inch. So I'm probably going to leave the 16-inch on there, because I'm used to, like, the other saws. Like, I think the 193 and 194 only have a 14-inch bar. Some of the ones I've used only have 14-inch, but you need the maximum, at least a 16-inch bar and chain on these things, because once you move the top handle and your pole saws up to 16-inch, especially if you have a bucket truck, you eliminate a lot of saws this way, and you're given the ability to basically have one size bar and chain for all your small saws. And basically you can buy one bar and chain and it can fit on any saw you got. And then I skip the medium saws, then I go right up to a big saw. So when we go on a tree job, I can basically take 3 saws with me: a pole saw, a top handle, and a big saw, and we can pretty much do 99% of almost all our jobs, because we don't really do big massive trees anymore. We do them every once in a blue moon, but it's not a common everyday occurrence. And since I'm now doing all my own bids, I can control the jobs we do. So I don't know why that got a kink in the chain here. It's not wanting to cooperate. Straight out of the box. For some reason, I don't usually have to do this, but I don't know why it doesn't want to. I might have to spin it a few times on the saw, but it looks like it's going to fit. So you can put, it's just been a while. I've usually used to use them on the 193 and 194. So it's been a while. I have never done this to the 201 yet. I used to do it to the 200, but they're always changing things, and you always have to make sure that your saw is compatible, because you never know these days. Kind of like when they, I went in today to look at the electric saws, because I was contemplating getting an electric pole saw, but they're not compatible with the bigger bars. So you cannot put a 16-inch bar like this for some reason on the electric saws. I don't know why. That's what I was told. So, and also too, it's a big expense when you first start, because you're you have to get the battery, you have to get the charger, you basically have to get everything. There we go. That was just being a little pain in the tail. So I opted out for right now of not getting the electric saw. That might be something I get in the future. It would be nice to have an electric pole saw. I have a generic one, a Greenworks, and I really like it, but it's just not quite the quality I want, and it doesn't extend, and it's too long. You have to take it apart every time, so I don't really like to do that. I like to have, you know what they need to make? I was thinking today, if Stihl would make a little bit shorter saw but would still extend, maybe, you know, start off at 6 feet and then maybe go to 10 feet or something like that. That would be the perfect saw, because you could use that saw for everything. You could and it would be short enough to where it would fit in your truck bed, and it would be long enough still to trim trees, and get them high enough off the roof, or you could reach them. It'd be enough to reach pretty much everything you needed to reach, and then you wouldn't have to pull out your long pole saw unless you really needed it. I mean, it would be it would eliminate probably, you know, 80% of the times you have to pull that long pole saw out, and basically you're using it not fully extended. Most of the time you don't use it fully extended, so you're carrying around this big saw, awkward saw, and it's, you have to have a trailer, or you have to let it stick out your tailgate, or you have to have a big truck or bucket truck or something that it barely fits in our bucket truck. So it's awesome, don't get me wrong. When you have them, they're awesome. When you need them, they're awesome. But 9 times out of 10, they're too long and they're awkward and they're just in the way. So Stihl, if you're listening, make a little bit smaller extended pole saw, something that's 6 feet that extends to like 10 feet or whatever, however you can make the adjustment to where it can fit in a truck bed. And I think you'd sell a lot of them. Anyway, this is the brand new 201 TC that everybody been raving about. I've used it a few times, and I've told people about this. A lot of people kind of agree with me, and they're like, yeah, I'll try it, but they never do. And I think if a lot of people would switch over to these really thin 16-inch bars and chains, it changes the saw. It kind of like gives it, you know, it's like putting a turbo or putting a nitrous on it. It gives it that extra power and that extra cut speed, and it just really turns a regular saw like a 194T into a 201 almost. I mean, not quite, but you know what I'm getting at. It jumps the saw to the next level. And if you put a thin bar and chain on this, I mean, you can tell, I mean, the difference between the thickness of the bar and chain. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just common sense. It's kind of like cutting through wind. If you're the more aerodynamic, the less material you have to push, the less material you have to cut, what's going to happen? You're going to speed up the process of moving chips and material. So, I mean, it's kind of like, that's weird. If you're driving a car down the road and you're racing, and one of them has a big flat bus front end and the other one's aerodynamic, which one's going to win? So if you have the same exact horsepower and you're pushing, you know, twice as much, you have to move twice as much material to get through, obviously the one that has the thinner bar and chain is going to cut through faster. So what we need to do, Phil, is bring your 201 over 21TC and bring your stock bar and chain, and then I'll put my thin bar and chain on there, and we'll cut through the same exact log at the same exact time, and we'll see what the difference is in cut speed. And also too, it's going to be more efficient because you're not going to be using as much fuel, so you're going to be able to make more cuts. Also too, it's less resistance, so basically your saw is not going to it's basically like a car driving up a hill and a car driving without a hill. The car that's just cruising along and just basically coasting or downhill is going to last longer than a car that's always having to travel uphill. I don't know. I mean, that's just, I don't know what other analogy to use, but the less material that you're going through, the easier it is going to be on the saw. The bar's thinner, the chain's thinner, it's not as wide. I mean, you're pushing less material. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say. We're going to start this bad boy up, and we're going to try it out tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to have it good weather. So we're going to cut down a big, dead, nasty oak tree, and I'm going to use this saw. I'm going to use this pole saw behind me, and maybe even this extended pole saw. So stay with me. Maybe tomorrow night, or maybe give me a day to download the video, and I'll show you what these top handles and pole saws can do. I'll probably end up taking down 80 to 90% of the tree with these two saws with a 16-inch bar and chain, and then I'll probably switch over to the 311, drop the stop, make a few cuts, and push it to the road for the loader truck. So anyway, sorry for going on and on, but this is Roger with Roger's Reviews and Roger's well, tree service, Tree Life 1 584 Tree, where we go out on a limb for you. Won't steal you wrong. These saws are awesome. They're a little bit pricey, but like I said, if you're a one-man show, or you're someone that you only have one person using this, or you're the only person using it, it's well worth it. You just got to take care of the saws, and you need to not use them on the ground. This is strictly a saw that needs to be taken care of. Unless you have money to burn, if you got $700 or $800 that you don't care about, and you want to ruin a saw, it's an easy way to do it. But if you work hard for your money and you want to buy a good saw that will make your life easier, and if you want to switch over to these bars and smaller chains to make it easier on the saw, to make the saws last longer, that's what you need to do. So just stick with me and watch as I take these trees down with ease. They're just going to be like, it's going to be like cutting through butter with a hot knife. So see you next time. Tom, Nick, appreciate you guys watching, and all you other subscribers out there. Please send me a line, send me a comment. I try to read every comment, respond to every comment. So if there's anything you guys want to see, anything you have comments on, if I can't find out, do research and try to find out the best I can and get back with you ASAP. Have a great night, and God bless. Tree Life.